Hi everyone, welcome back. Up next we have Peter Sergeev from Equilibrium, and he's going to be talking about unlocking the fast potential of the DeFi market by using Polkadot technology. I'll let you take it from here, Peter.
Yep, thank you very much, Carol. Hello everyone. I'll start my presentation now. Okay, so DeFi seems like a buzzword everyone is getting tired of, but not us definitely, and I'll try to explain why in this short presentation in 20 minutes. But first of all, a little bit of a background, where we come from, what is our expertise. Basically, we've been involved with blockchain for past several years, at least from dev perspective, and we've been doing some work in Ethereum, EOS, and now in Polkadot. In Ethereum, we've built the first money market protocol, which is a P2P repo market, and we have done that before Compound became a mainstream. We didn't get traction there in retrospective due to the complexity of the product, and we just didn't get into timing. So we decided to move on with EOS, and we've built the first decentralized stablecoin there, and we've got some pretty good traction there with that. Basically, we've have more than 1,000 users there, more than $10 million locked as a collateral. We've introduced Bitcoin collateral with the help of Provable, formerly known as Oraclize, who basically provide us a bridging solution for Bitcoin to EOS ecosystem. And this year we decided to move on with DeFi products and go beyond what we've seen in Ethereum in EOS. And the motivation for that is following. So we've experienced several challenges with DeFi. First one being is that it's pretty much concentrated in Ethereum. Basically, Ethereum currently holding a DeFi monopoly with more than 90% of all DeFi concentrated in Ethereum, while ETH itself is only 12% of the entire crypto market cap. So the market opportunity here is to bridge ETH-based assets and possibly liabilities also into the Polkadot ecosystem. And Equilibrium decided to use Polkadot ecosystem and Polkadot technology as it promises to solve an interoperability problem. And I'll talk about more why we decided to go with Polkadot a little bit later. So basically, yeah, here's my slide about our motivation I was talking about. So I've talked about the first challenge, the DeFi monopoly, then the use case fragmentation, and I've stopped basically at the idea that in centralized finance, we see how everything given as a product to the user from one place, and we want to do something similar in DeFi. And another challenge we have want to address is ETH inflexibility. So basically, we can see that there are high transaction costs, low throughput, limitations on on-chain calculations, and we want to get rid of that and offer high-quality products to users by going beyond limitations which are dictated by those ETH limitations, like hard set collateral requirements and unified or pooled interest rates, pooled lending, pooled borrowing, and stuff like that. So our current setup, which we developed for Polkadot, it looks like basically a brokerage business, decentralized brokerage business with insurance module, and we are transferring risks from borrowers to bailsmen or insurers, and all that is being done in a decentralized fashion on chain. So to recap, the DeFi market, it has a great potential, and the potential is far from being reached. As you can see on the chart on the left, just for this year, the compound annual growth rate has been well over 600%. And there's still potential to grow. There's still potential to, chop off a bit from that ETH monopoly. And Polkadot, it offers us great tools to actually reach this potential. And Equilibrium on our side, we try to utilize these tools to actually build innovative products. But everything sounds good. Before we dwell into the details and start talking about some challenges and limitations, and I want to cover those next. But before that, let's stop a little bit and talk on why we decided to go with Polkadot. Well, as I already said, Polkadot provides tools to solve high resource costs, scaling problem, decentralized governance issue, and cross-chain interoperability issues. Also, it has a big and growing community, and I can see that just by the number of people who are listening to me currently. It's amazing. And for any project, it's crucial to have a big and growing potential user base, and especially for DeFi projects, and also to have a great and responsive community. And we also get a great response and feedback from Web3 and Parity, and that is crucial from us, because from our experience, we didn't get that much feedback from other projects. And trust me, we've tried a lot. We've even built some stuff for Telegram Open Network for their test nets, and unfortunately, they couldn't handle that. So yeah, moving on, why Substrate? Well, natural choice. Everyone who is coming to build on Polkadot is using Substrate currently, and Substrate offers us much more flexibility in terms of what business logic we can build if we compare it to just using smart contracts on ETH or EOS for that matter. Besides that, the Ink smart contract functionality, as we learned from today's discussion, it's evolving and it's not hard set yet. So we decided to go with Substrate basically. And well, to give you a better idea, for example, currently in our DeFi Substrate, we work with portfolio of assets. So we treat each user separately from the risk perspective and from the business perspective. This is something that would have been impossible in blockchains like ETH or EOS due to the limitation on resources and limitations on computation. And so we're able to be much more flexible with Substrate here. But of course, as I said, there are limitations, and I'm going to go over them right now. So several challenges for DeFi we would like to highlight, at least for now. There are no standardized assets. So what does it mean? Well, there are 2 points to that issue. Different substrates have custom balances, asset logic, and custom types, and basically this poses a limitation on integration with wallets and exchanges. So how do we standardize assets for ease of integration? Does the wallet have to write a custom logic for integrating different substrates, or what? That's a question that needs to be answered within the community. Another question is that currently we see, well, the interconnection and the parachain and parathread, XCMP and Spree are not yet introduced. They're being developed. So there are a lot of different projects, different standalone substrates, and a lot of them are bridging assets already. And the question is, how do we unify all those bridges after basically XCMP and Spree are introduced? So if there are 10 substrates bridging ETH and they all connect to one relay chain, how are we going to basically have one universal Polka ETH, for example, or Polka BTC? That's something that the broader community and dev community in Polkadot needs to address as well. So this is one of the challenges. The next challenge, of course, is that there is no transaction atomicity, at least for now, or at least we're not aware of none. And for DeFi, this is a huge use case because it allows you to build stuff like flash loans, automated leveraging, automated arbitrage. And here, for example, I've considered the case of arbitrage, comparing ETH or EOS with Polkadot. So in ETH, all the arbitrage process is just a black box from the development point of view. I could care less about how different protocols or automated market makers work. I just put a check at the end of my transaction where I require that after all my actions, my final balance has to be more than my initial balance, which means that I've actually made some money by borrowing, trading, and doing some arbitrage activities. And if it's not the case, I just revert the entire transaction. In Polkadot, this is currently not the case because to effectively arbitrage, I would basically need to know all the logic of different protocols, DEXs, market makers, and code it myself and to see if there are any arbitrage opportunities and basically perform different actions depending on the different paths my logic could take. So this is the second challenge I wanted to address. And also there is a final challenge. There is no straightforward migration of EVM projects to Polkadot. And what does it mean? You can't just, basically plug an EVM module to your substrate and expect, some project coming from ETH, deploy a smart contract there and work it out of the box. There are issues related to different transaction formats, like ETH has its own transaction format and Substrate has its own transaction format. And if we want to support Ethereum, we need to be able to process Ethereum format transactions. We also need to somehow read Ethereum formatted data from the blockchain. And so all the front end, which currently is implemented in ETH, could continue acting as usual. And so I guess there's also a need to write some custom RPCs. I believe Moonbeam has tackled this issue, and I'm really looking forward to their workshop to see what they have done in this direction and to get into the more details of this process. But currently, this is still a challenge for DeFi and for migration of ETH DeFi protocols to Polkadot. Okay, that's it for the challenges we currently see, and let's move on. I'll talk a little bit about our own development process, and since we're relatively new to Polkadot and Substrate, we've been building for just over half a year now, and during this course, we have encountered several difficulties. Basically, the one thing I could say that since the Substrate is a relatively new technology, there are several issues we have to tackle all the time, and one of them is staying up to date consumes time. That means that they're constantly upgrading the logic, and we have to keep up to that upgrades to stay up to date, and this takes a lot of time from our actual dev time. Also, there is no backward compatibility. That means, well, every different project, they work with different speeds. And if you want to integrate with someone, that poses a huge limitations for you. For example, we've been using third-party bridges in our Substrate code, and the bridge is currently sitting on RC6, and we have already upgraded to Substrate 2.0. And we couldn't, just put the bridge into our 2.0 Substrate. We had to roll back, basically deploy a whole new instance of our blockchain, have it run on RC6, and have the bridge deployed there and play with the bridge there, which is also very time-consuming. Also, since the technology is relatively new, there are a few best practices. I mean, there are tons and tons of code being written. There are lots of different modules and palettes, but most of them haven't been to production. And in order for everything to function properly, we have to test not only our logic and our business logic, our modules and palettes, but also all those different palettes and how they work in unison, or basically perform crazy integration tests, which goes really, really painful and slowly, I have to tell you. Okay, and the second difficulty is that there is no simple reuse of the code. And that means that it's really hard to modify existing logic and existing modules without actually copying them and rewriting them. That means there's no actual inheritance. To give you concrete examples, we had to rewrite the vesting palette because it only works with locks on balances, and we wanted our vesting to work with actual asset transfers. That is a concrete example related to this issue. Well, but despite of all the difficulties, the process so far has been very great. We're very fond of the substrate technology. We're seeing a great potential in Polkadot, in substrate, and in everything we do here. And to finish off, I'll just talk a little bit more about our progress. What have we done so far? So we've basically launched our first testnet with claim and vesting functionality. We've also completed our core MVP logic, and we're extensively testing it. And it includes our risk module, our pricing module, balances module, our bailsman or insurance module. We've also built our custom Oracle module, which allows us to feed prices from multiple sources, either private or public. We use off-chain workers for that. We also calculate the median reference price based on latest and data points. And we also make sure that our price is not outdated. We're also building a financial palette as part of the Web3 Foundation grant program. And this palette will be useful to anyone who is actually doing some hardcore statistical math and wants to bring in some statistical data and risk metrics on chain. We plan to release our MVP testnet, somewhere at the end of October, and basically users will be able, to play with test tokens there that are listed here on the slide, and basically borrow USD stable coins, pay interest for their borrowings, and then from the other side, as bailsmen or insurers, they can provide liquidity and safeguard the system and earn the interest rate. So borrowers pay, insurance earn. That's the paradigm of our entire system. And our further dev plans include we will introduce lending based on our risk and pricing, where users can lend out their assets. They bring cross-chain to Polkadot. And after lending is complete, we'll have a complete setup ready to build an actual decentralized exchange with leverage and margin trading, and it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, and also, that's just like I told you, we've been playing with ETH Bridge, and it's already functioning in our standalone substrate. Not fully functioning though, but hopefully when we become a parachain or a para-thread, there will be a bridge parachain, and we will use that bridge to actually bring in assets to Equilibrium parachain. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Peter. That was great. It looks like we have no questions on Crowdcast at the moment, but if anybody wants to connect with Peter further, you can join on Discord. The channel's just been shared in the chat. Great.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. We'll move into our next session now with Centrifuge.